The state capture inquiry is set to begin any time from now. This is pending finalization of the terms of reference from the President's office. We are joined on the phone line by Michael Masutha, the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services. A very good morning to you, Minister. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, can you confirm that the President, Jacob Zuma, has actually signed the proclamation to give a legal effect to terms of reference on the state capture inquiry?
Yes, that is correct, and I can confirm it because I have countersigned that proclamation as the Land Function Minister responsible, and that actually the responsibility is on me now to ensure that we get a slot as soon as possible with the government printers to have the terms of reference published in the Gazette. We were hoping for this afternoon, but we may have lost that slot in the meantime because as the process was unfolding and in anticipation, we've been interacting with them to secure slots. So it might end up being published tomorrow, but that should be the latest, I hope.
Minister, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo had a press conference yesterday, and as you've rightly mentioned, all eyes now are on your department. Just help us understand the process. You mentioned that the process has been unfolding. You've mentioned having to get a slot in the Gazette. Just talk us through the whole process from beginning to end.
Well, first of all, I'm the minister responsible for administering the Commissions Act of 1947. In terms of which the President sets up commissions. So whether it's the Fees Commission or Marikana Commission or any other commission, the actual mechanics of setting up that commission lies with the Department of Justice. The funding or defraying the cost of running the commission is usually with the line function department whose subject matter is at issue. So, for example, with the Fees Commission, it would have been the Department of Higher Education, which carried the bulk of the actual cost of running the commission. In this instance, the nature of the commission falls squarely within the Department of Justice, which means we have to source the resources necessary to support the judge in running the commission, including the financial support to the work of the commission. Where we have difficulty, of course, we will be in consultation with with Treasury, the Minister of Finance, to ensure that the necessary resources are made available to the judge to conduct the inquiry as he would determine. The administrative processes have been the subject of interaction between the Office of the Presidency, my office, the relevant line function within the Department of Justice, that is, and the Office of the Judge. That process is ongoing because even after the terms have been published, there's still regulations that will give the technical framework within which the commission is going to operate. Now, the judge did confirm yesterday that he was favored with a draft, and he commented on that. There are administrative processes that have to be put in place in line with what the regulations will require, which are currently being worked on, and the regulations will also be published soon after the terms of reference, and only then would the Deputy Chief Justice be in a position to officially operationalize the commission.
Just to reiterate that, you said that you expect that the terms of reference should be published by tomorrow, is that correct?
Yes, because my suspicion is that by now we may have lost the slot for today. Remember, the final text approved by the President yesterday upon him signing the proclamation, which I countersigned. And it was only then that we had an official legal instrument in the form of terms of reference. But for them to acquire full legal effect, they must be promulgated, which simply means in simple English, published in the Government Gazette. And that completes, give a breathing legal life to those terms of reference. But like I said, even when that has happened, there will still be the regulations that give the technical framework for the actual operationalization of the commission.
Minister, there has been a debate about the broadening of the terms of reference beyond what the former public protector Thuli Madonsela had investigated. What's your stand on this?
That is the substantive or content issues which will be laid bare when the terms of reference themselves are published for anyone to make their own judgment on. I prefer not to comment on that issue. I think the terms of reference will speak for themselves, and any person can make their own deduction on the terms of reference. Also were settled through various consultations with various legal advisors, both from the presidency side and the department side, because all legal instruments of this nature are ordinarily certified by the chief state law advisor in terms of technical legal soundness, but insofar as the policy content aspects of it, of course, ultimately it is the president's call to say these are the terms that he is issuing.
And just lastly, Minister, Deputy Chief Justice Zondo also mentioned yesterday that the 180 days that have been provided might not be sufficient to complete a thorough investigation. Now, can the Justice Ministry extend the time frame, and who can actually provide clarity on whether the 180 days is counted from the day that the commission is appointed or from the day that the commission begins its investigative work?
Once the judge commences with the commission, he is in full control of all the processes of the commission. ASA's government's role is limited to providing any technical support that he may require to complete his work. So issues relating to whether he is able to complete within the time frame, I recall that various commissions have had to extend the time frames whenever it became necessary to complete their work. It's a practical issue. I do not know what will happen in this instance, and I wouldn't want to engage in any speculative comments in that regard.
Minister,
what I do want to indicate, though, is that the terms will also indicate that they can be amended from time to time as it may be necessary. So that is a standard feature, ordinarily, of terms of reference of commissions of inquiry, because circumstances may require, and if they do, those amendments would then be effected by the president because he determines the terms of reference, and then the amended version would then be promulgated in similar vein.
Well, Minister, thank you so much for joining us here on Ground Report. That was Minister Michael Masutha, the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, just confirming to us the process and also just confirming that the terms of reference for the state of capture probe have actually been officially concluded, and that for them to have life breathed into them, they have to be promulgated, which means they have to be published in the Government Gazette. And he says that they missed a slot for today's publication, so hopefully they will be published by tomorrow. And also just mentioning some technicalities there regarding the process and the fact that the Justice Ministry is the one responsible mainly for these investigations, but still also liaising with the presidency on this matter.